The sun dipped low over the endless fields of Iowa, its golden rays bleeding into the horizon, when a single gunshot ripped through the silence like a thunderclap. The bullet struck a rusted mailbox at the edge of Claire Hensley's 200-acre farm, sending shards of metal spiraling into the soft earth with a metallic screech. In the distance, a lone figure stood motionless, a woman in faded denim overalls, her blonde hair pulled back in a tight ponytail, her piercing blue eyes narrowing as they scanned the tree line. A basket of freshly picked vegetables lay overturned at her feet, tomatoes and zucchinis scattered across the dirt, as if dropped in a moment of instinct. The air hung heavy, the hum of crickets fading into an eerie stillness. Then, from the shadows of the oaks, 4 figures emerged. Teenagers, their laughter sharp and cruel, their silhouettes dark against the fading light. They didn't know it yet, but they had just crossed into the territory of Claire Hensley, a quiet single mother with a past as deadly as the rifle she'd just fired, a former Green Beret sniper whose skills had once made her a legend in the deserts of Afghanistan. Claire Hensley was an enigma wrapped in the simplicity of rural life. At 35, she was a widow, her husband lost to a tragic tractor accident 3 years prior, leaving her to raise their 10-year-old son, Ethan, alone on the family farm. The land had been in her family for generations, its rolling fields of corn and soybeans a lifeline she clung to with calloused hands and a weary heart. To the townsfolk of Millersville, she was a fragile figure, a soft-spoken woman who kept her head down, her days consumed by the endless cycle of planting, harvesting, and mending fences. They whispered about her in the diner, speculating about her reclusive nature, her occasional flinches at sudden noises, her refusal to join community events. They saw a grieving mother, struggling to hold onto a crumbling legacy. They didn't see the truth. Beneath the sleeves of her worn flannel shirts hid scars, both physical and emotional, from a decade spent in the U.S. Army's elite Green Berets, where she'd earned the nickname Ghost for her uncanny ability to disappear into the landscape and deliver death with a single, precise shot. That past was a locked vault, buried deep until the day those teenagers trespassed onto her land and forced it open. The trouble had been brewing for weeks, a slow simmer of malice that Claire had initially dismissed as harmless pranks. It began with a broken fence post, the wood splintered as if kicked in a fit of boredom. Then came trampled patches of corn, their green stalks crushed under careless boots, and paintball splatters streaking her weathered barn like a child's graffiti. Each incident gnawed at her, but she chalked it up to restless youth, hoping it would pass. The turning point came with a crude note nailed to her front door, its words scrawled in black marker, "Leave or pay." That's when she recognized the pattern. The ringleader was Jace Rollins, an 18-year-old with a leather jacket and a sneer, the son of Harold Rollins, a local real estate developer hungry to turn her fertile farmland into a sprawling housing development. Claire had refused his offers, her voice steady but firm, her resolve rooted in the memory of her grandfather tilling this soil. Jace, emboldened by his father's wealth and his own arrogance, saw her as an easy target, a lone woman with no husband, no allies. He rallied his crew: Tyler, a lanky kid in a ripped denim jacket, Marcus, the silent brute with a shaved head, and Liam, the hooded instigator who egged them on from the shadows. They underestimated her, and that would be their undoing. That fateful evening, as the sun bled orange into the sky, casting long shadows across the fields, Claire stood her ground. Her heart thudded in her chest. Not with fear, but with a familiar surge of adrenaline she hadn't felt since her last deployment. The gunshot had been deliberate, a warning shot from the sniper rifle she kept hidden in the barn, a weapon she maintained with the meticulous care of a soldier, its barrel gleaming despite years of disuse. Jace swaggered forward, his lips curling into a mocking grin, his voice cutting through the tension. "What are you gonna do, lady? Call the cops?" His crew chuckled, their confidence a brittle shield against the unknown. Claire's expression remained unreadable, her eyes shifting to the tree line where she'd already mapped her angles, her breathing slow and controlled as she calculated their movements. The air thickened, the scent of damp earth and ripening crops mingling with the threat of violence. She didn't speak, she didn't need to. The confrontation had reached its breaking point. Inside the farmhouse, Ethan pressed his face to the window, his small hands trembling against the glass. He'd heard the shot, seen his mother's stance, and though he didn't grasp the full scope of her past, he felt the weight of her presence. Claire had shielded him from the darker chapters of her life, telling him only that she'd worked hard to protect people before coming home. Now, as the bullies advanced, she raised a hand, signaling him to stay inside, her gesture a silent command born of instinct. Her mind flashed to her last mission, Afghanistan 2018, the air thick with dust, the weight of her rifle steady against her shoulder, the split-second decision that had saved her unit, but left her with nightmares she couldn't shake. She'd sworn never to kill again, but defending her home, her son, awakened a part of her she'd tried to bury. The memory fueled her resolve, steeling her for what was to come. The clash erupted when Jace lunged, his hand seizing the strap of her overalls, his arrogance blinding him to the danger. In a blur of motion, Claire twisted his arm with a precision honed by years of combat training, dropping him to his knees with a grunt of pain. The others froze, their laughter choking off as she loomed over him, her voice low and icy. "This is my land. You step here again, you won't walk away." Tyler charged next, his fists raised, only to meet a swift elbow to the jaw that sent him sprawling into the dirt. Marcus hesitated, his bulk shifting as if to retreat, but Claire's gaze pinned him in place, her presence a wall he couldn't breach. Liam, the coward, turned and fled, his hoodie flapping as he disappeared into the trees. The fight lasted mere minutes, a whirlwind of motion and suppressed fury, leaving the field silent save for the groans of the defeated and the rustle of the wind through the crops. Claire's hands trembled as she lowered her guard, the adrenaline fading into a wave of exhaustion and guilt. She hadn't wanted this, but she'd protect her sanctuary with every fiber of her being. Word of the confrontation spread through Millersville like a wildfire, igniting gossip and speculation. The quiet farmer had taken down 4 troublemakers single-handedly, and the tale grew with each retelling. Some said she'd fired warning shots, others claimed she'd disarmed them with her bare hands. Whispers of her military past began to surface, dredged up by old comrades who remembered the legend of Ghost. A retired sergeant from her unit confirmed it. Claire Hensley had served with the Green Berets, her sniper skills earning her a Silver Star for a mission that neutralized a high-value target under impossible odds. The revelation stunned the town, transforming their pity into a reluctant admiration. Harold Rollins, furious at his son's humiliation, tried to press charges, but the community rallied behind Claire, their respect outweighing his influence. The development plans faltered, the land's value now tied to her unbreakable spirit. Yet, the victory left Claire hollow. That night, as she sat on the porch with Ethan asleep beside her, tears streaked her face, not of triumph, but of the realization that her past had resurfaced, a ghost she could no longer outrun. The twist arrived a week later, delivered in a crisp envelope stamped with the U.S. Army logo. Inside was a letter offering her a consulting role, a chance to train new snipers remotely from her farm. The offer stunned her, a lifeline to the duty she'd abandoned, a way to reclaim the purpose she'd lost. She spent days wrestling with the decision, her mind a battlefield of conflicting emotions. The farm was her refuge, Ethan her anchor, but the call of her past tugged at her soul. Memories of fallen comrades, of the lives she'd saved, mingled with the guilt of the lives she'd taken. She sought counsel in the fields, walking the rows of corn at dawn, the dew soaking her boots as she weighed her future. Ethan noticed her distraction, asking one evening if she missed her whole job. His innocence pierced her, and in that moment she saw a path forward. She accepted the role, negotiating part, time hours and remote training sessions, ensuring she could stay with her son while honoring her legacy. As the months passed, Claire's land flourished, the fields yielding a bountiful harvest that symbolized her resilience. The bullies never returned, their defeat a cautionary tale etched into the town's lore, a reminder that strength could hide in the most unexpected places. Ethan grew taller, his pride in his mother blossoming as he helped with chores, his laughter a balm to her scars. Claire, once a shadow of her former self, stood tall, a guardian of both her family and her past. The army consulting gig brought new purpose, her expertise shaping a new generation of soldiers via video calls from the farmhouse kitchen. The field stretched out before her, bathed in the soft light of dawn, a testament to her unyielding spirit and the redemption she'd carved from her pain. Hey, incredible viewers! What did you think of Claire's epic journey from green beret sniper to a fierce single mom defending her farm? Could you imagine standing up to bullies like that? Or do you have your own story of courage to share? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're all ears! If this cinematic tale moved you, hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more gripping stories of justice, redemption, and heroism. Ring the bell icon so you never miss an upload. Your support fuels these adventures. Until next time, stay strong and keep watching.